Lots of people believe the problem with the environment is beyond our control, but that mentality has to change. If we all just did our part, as little as one thing a day, the impact would be profound, and the future will thank us for it.
It is inevitable in life that there will be change. Actually, you and I are continually in the process of changing. We are either changing for the better, or we are changing for the worse. Every change that takes place in our lives must first take place in our minds. If we are going to make an impact on our environment, it has to begin in our thinking. The fact is, we don't change until some event shocks us so profoundly that we finally decide that the remedy is less to be feared than what we are doing now.
Such a shock we've begun to experience from the toxic elements in our food supply, the air we breathe, our need to consume bottled water rather than risk the uncertainty in the tainted water that runs in our water supply, problems of waste disposal, the climatic changes taking place as a result of our excessive use of fossil fuels, and the prevalence of cancer now running rampant throughout our society. There is also the menacing sense of guilt we feel as we consider the damaged world we are handing down to our children. For their sake, we need to change.
The environment should be the dominant issue of our age. The threats to our natural world overshadow everything else because they will determine our future, for all of us and every living thing on this planet. Protecting the planet is a basic issue of survival, and if we want to pass it down to our children, sustainable, a change in human activities must take place. This change will need to include an increased awareness, a cessation of our harmful activities, and a healing of the damage already done. All of us can contribute, and it will require effort from everyone to ensure our survival.
And beyond all the particular things that need to be done, there is a need to transform our basic values. This applies especially to our spiritual and educational establishments, which have been negligent in dealing with the situation. Long ago, they developed ways of dealing morally with issues like suicide and homicide, yet they have lacked in moral principles that deal with biocide and genocide, evils at least as disastrous.
So too with education. We teach our children how to run our industries, those saturating the earth with toxic waste, especially the petrochemical industries. And even though we have advanced in organic agriculture, our universities continue to teach reliance on chemical-based agriculture. Nor do we advise students on the dangers of fossil fuels and the destruction of our forest in building up the blanket of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere.
There was a time before our prevalent abuse of the automobile and the development of the petrochemical industry when we didn't know a lot about the earth or how it reacted to our human activities. That is no longer the case. Today, an awareness of the ramifications we have inflicted by using polystyrene cups, disposable diapers, and non-biodegradable plastics is dire. As automobile owners, the realization that each year we put an amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere that is equal to the weight of the car itself.
As individuals, we can no longer live in deadly innocence nor remain aware but frustrated with what to do. It's time to recognize and rethink our own roles as inhabitants who were meant to share this planet and to preserve its resources for future generations. And every one of us can make a significant difference. If we all do our part, become aware of the facts, and commit ourselves to make changes for the better, then together we can create a better future with a planet rich in fruitful lands, clean air, and water that is safe to drink.
The fact that the ozone layer is invisible does not warrant us to ignore it. Up next, we examine the increasingly important thin layer of gas that shields us from the sun.
Plastic is is fantastic and is the only choice for many uses. It's light, strong, flexible, waterproof, and inexpensive. But many plastics are associated with chemical pollution, both in manufacturing and in the final disposal. PVC plastics are among the worst offenders. Bagging your groceries in a cloth reusable bag is the simplest way to help. Imagine that.
Organic coffee is better for domestic growth and our own well-being, but also for the health of the people in the world's coffee-growing regions. In Costa Rica, for example, more than 800 are rendered acutely ill every year, and another 50 die from toxic pesticides that were banned long ago in the U.S. Also, organic coffee plantations follow sustainable strategies for preserving biodiversity.
Adequate pressure in your vehicle's tires will reduce fuel consumption. Believe it or not, underinflation of your tires by a mere 15% will render a significant loss in your vehicle's mileage, hence increasing your carbon dioxide emissions. You'll be helping your vehicle's efficiency, keeping money in your pocket, and doing more for the environment.
There is so much more to the natural world than what can be seen through a window or in a photograph. Take a trip to a national park or nature reserve. The next time you hear of a development encroaching on a remaining untouched open space left in America, you'll get the message of what's being lost. Get outside, regard and respect nature for what we have.
Working together to sustain life, water, air, and the soil systems of the planet strive for balance as they renew one another. A constant recycling of these crucial elements necessary for life must take place because none of these enter or leave the ecosphere. Miles above the Earth, a fragile sheet of gas, the ozone layer, absorbs almost all the harmful ultraviolet or UV radiation from the sun. Like a blanket, it shields our planet, and it is a vital component necessary to sustain life on Earth. The damaged ozone layer allows lethal ultraviolet radiation to reach us, resulting in higher incidences of skin cancer, depression of our immune system, increased smog, lower crop yields, and the loss of marine harvest. And most alarming is the correlation between ozone depletion and extreme climate change, and the devastation of the ocean's plankton, the microorganisms that form the very basis of the food chain. Scientists have documented that a hole in the ozone layer exists and that it can be largely blamed on the presence and history of chlorofluorocarbons in the atmosphere. CFCs are found predominantly in aerosol spray cans, as a cooling agent in refrigerators and air conditioners, in foam and plastic insulation, and in industrial solvents. Many countries have banned the use of CFCs, but not all. Disappointingly, there is still continued use worldwide. The interdependency and connectedness of our planet's ecosystem can be defined if we look at just two key elements, the ozone layer and the ocean. As within a few hundred feet of the ocean's surface is where the food chain begins, where small, sometimes microscopic plankton or sea plants live. The formidable problems we have caused by damaging the ozone layer pale before the injury that UV radiation can wreak on plankton and subsequently on the rest of the food chain. Plankton, the most abundant community in the sea, are a key element in the food balance that the sea maintains, forming the basis of the food chain, the transfer of energy from one organism to another when the smaller organism is eaten. Because a vast array of marine life ultimately depend on plankton for their continued existence, any substantial change will have comprehensive ecological consequences. Should plankton be removed from this finely balanced ecosystem, the entire structure could collapse, and the whole marine ecosystem would be in jeopardy. Humanity itself would be at risk. Unlike the ocean clouded with an oil slick or a roadside scattered with litter, we cannot instantly see the effects of ozone depletion. The ozone layer drifts far above us, yet it is essential to our health. The fact that it is invisible shouldn't allow us to ignore it. There is only a delicate thread of ozone that shields us from the sun.
The ocean covers nearly 3/4 of the planet's surface, yet less than 1% of it is potable. Up next, we consider the most vital element for our survival: water.
They give your AC a break, it lowers your electric bill, and the lifespan is incredible, lasting 10 to 15 times longer. Compact fluorescents really make a difference. If every American changed from incandescent lights to the energy-efficient CFL bulbs, it would prevent greenhouse gases equivalent to the emissions of more than 13 million cars. Imagine that.
Consumers spend over $5 billion, that's billion with a B, every year on fresh-cut flowers that sadly are short-lived. Even sadder is that 2/3 of these are imported blooms. The next time you really want to surprise your inamorata, consider a potted plant. Chances are your friend will be just as happy with the gift of flora that will last much longer. Really.
While sales of bottled water have exploded in recent history, but the truth is water from bottles is not necessarily cleaner or safer than water from your tap. Actually, the United States has one of the safest water supplies in the world. Even still, the U.S. leads the world in total consumption of bottled water at more than 35 billion liters.
Anytime it's possible, jump on a bike. Let's say you have a 5-mile commute to work or school. Cycling instead of driving will cut your carbon dioxide emissions by more than 1,300 pounds per year and save you as much as $1,000. And the best part, you'll see more of what's around you, get some fresh air, not to mention good exercise. Imagine that.
The sheer vastness of the ocean denotes that we live on a water-based planet. For isn't it interesting that as the ocean covers 70% of the globe, our own bodies encompass 70% water? It is water that makes life possible. Something else that's interesting: if the Earth was any farther away from the sun, the water would freeze. If the planet was closer to the sun, the heat would vaporize the water. Its precise location allows for the water and life to coexist. The process of evaporation, which brings ocean water into the atmosphere, then is sent back to the Earth in the form of rain, and finally returns to the ocean, is known as the hydrological cycle. This repeats continuously to distribute water and support life. The vastness of this bank of H2O can be misleading. The fact is, just over 97% of the world's water is in the ocean and saline lakes. It isn't fit for agricultural use, nor is it potable. Glaciers, ice caps, and the atmosphere hold another 2%, which leaves less than 1% for the world's population to draw on. Our conundrum begins with the industrial wastewater. In the United States alone, industrial waste output is nearly 10 trillion gallons a year. At best, a third of it is treated, but the process doesn't guarantee the removal of dangerous compounds. The other 2/3 are dumped directly into the ocean. The most disturbing result of the ocean dumping is the widespread loss of habitat. Pollution has a grave effect on our ecosystems, the coral reefs, and all marine life. We are interfering with the sea's ability to produce fish that we depend on for protein. Cyanide fishing, like the incident near the Philippine Islands where divers pumped industrial sodium cyanide into the reefs in order to force out the fish for the tropical fish industry, which destroyed over 90% of the coral reefs, as well as drift nets, set at dusk to capture fish of all sizes, and the enormous discards, primarily littering, of our massive plastic industry, have all had an immense impact on our oceans. Sadly, the blight of the plastic found in the ocean probably will not stop until we learn how to deal with it on land. Some plastics are degradable, but most are not. It's blatantly obvious that just because we have the ability to make something does not warrant the act of actually doing so, especially if harm to the ocean is the result. It is time to regard the sea for what it is, to look beyond the seashells clogged with garbage and the strangled fish trapped in plastic nets of death, and recall the magic and the power of the water that gives us life. As beings of water and needing water for survival, if we continue to disregard the ocean, we will ultimately disregard ourselves.
Humans are now striving to repair some of the damage brought upon the planet's most valuable resource. What secrets do these trees hold? Up next, we weigh in on the tropical rainforests.
Unsorted trash is a gigantic environmental problem, as well as an economic cost paid by you through your taxes. Separated trash, on the other hand, is an economic resource. As an example, a ton of recycled paper will save 17 trees. So get in the habit of sorting plastic, metal, glass, paper, and batteries. It will definitely make a difference. Imagine that.
Fuel consumption, along with accompanying greenhouse gas emissions, increase by 35% as your speed goes from 50 to 70 miles per hour, and even more so by 65% when you go from 70 to 90 miles per hour. Not to mention that lower speeds also save lives. So I guess saving money, saving the environment, and saving lives go hand in hand.
You want to be number one, right? Well, guess what? You are. The United States is the planet's #1 producer of garbage. We all eat takeout, buy some shoes, read a newspaper, most of which ends up right here in the landfill. An emergent dilemma with no end in sight. But we can all help if we remember the 3 R's. Reduce consumption, reuse plastics and glass, and recycle almost everything.
What does it take to be eco-friendly? Well, let's face it, for some time now the term has carried a burdensome ring of self-righteous finger-wagging. Ecologically minded is no longer a list of no-nos which seem to aim to make life boring. Analyzing your personal impact on the web of life could open your eyes to rewarding experiences and meaningful change.
Life thrives abundantly in in the sun-filtered depths of a tropical rainforest, home to animals, plants, and insects that defy imagination. Located in the lavish equatorial belt that straddles the belly of the globe, resides as many as 1/2 of all Earth's life forms. It is the most diverse of any major ecosystem on Earth, coupling its net rainfall of 15 to 25 feet annually with the region's perennial climate of high temperatures exudes luscious growth. Just 7% of this landmass is left, 2% of the Earth's surface now covered by tropical rainforests. Less than half of what was once there, just as incredible as these life forms are, is the rate at which the ecosystem itself is being obliterated. Forests are cleared to raise cattle for beef, over 90% of which is exported to the United States. And yet, the bigger issue is deforestation and its disruption of rainfall patterns. As the loss of trees increases, consequences are felt thousands of miles away. Central Panama, which was deforested years ago, has had an average annual rainfall drop of nearly 20 inches. Because rainforests store vast reserves of carbon in their vegetation, burning them releases significant amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. The burning of tropical forests has been cited as the second largest factor contributing to the greenhouse effect. We now expect the Earth to lose 40% of its biodiversity due to the rapid climate changes projected. Changes that are being induced at such a rate that plants will probably not have time to adapt. In Southeast Asia, climate patterns are being altered by the removal of rainforests. Economically, changes attributed by the Earth getting warmer would threaten the region's worldwide exports of cocoa, tea, coffee, rubber, palm oil, spices, sugarcane, and coconut. Leveling just the evergreens in South America would cause a regional temperature rise of over 13 degrees Fahrenheit. The dry season would be extended and the deterioration of remaining forests would accelerate. These major changes will have a worldwide effect. It has been suggested that planting 350 million acres of trees in developing countries and 150 million acres in industrial countries could conceivably reduce worldwide carbon emissions by 35%. Such an effort would slow the advance of climate change for several decades, lending us precious time to address climate change. Sadly, the current rate is only one being planted for every 10 trees cut. Some of us are striving to repair the damage brought upon the planet's most invaluable ecosystems. Indeed, but we need help. Locked in the leaves of these jungles are the remnants of our brazen past, and perhaps the stepping stones to a sustainable future. What secrets do these trees hold? Perhaps we know one. Humanity has a dire need for the tropical rainforests.
Scratching your head and thinking, what can I do to help? Up next, we cover several ways all of us can do our part to make the changes needed, because change is needed for the better.
For every degree you lower the heat or raise the cooling over a 12-hour period, you save just over 2% on your electric bill. In the average single-family dwelling, going from 72 degrees to a still comfortable 67 would reduce carbon dioxide production by nearly 200 tons per year and save you 25% on your heating bill. Imagine that.
Eat your veggies. So your mother was right, but maybe not for the same reasons. Livestock farming for raising meat causes the destruction of rainforests to make room for grazing, which reduces biodiversity and kills off vital carbon-absorbing trees. Plus, the methane produced by cattle is a powerful greenhouse gas, much worse than carbon dioxide.
Do you dream in color? How often do you dream? Who and what are in your dreams? All of these are pertinent questions. A dream interpretation will help you gain insight into what your dreams are all about. Whether your dreams include people, animals, places, emotions, the past, present, or future, we can help. Now for an informative and risk-free mini tutorial, please email us at the link below. Have you ever had a dream and wondered what it all means? Would you like to discover the secrets within your subconscious, perhaps key elements from your past that may affect your future? Here at Dream Interpretation is where it all begins. To get started or just to learn more with our enlightening guide, email us at the link on your screen. Dream Interpretation is an affiliate of R.G. Bush Incorporated.
Avoid the purchase of products still packaged in polystyrene. Choose cardboard when you can. Although disposable products are wasteful, always select paper instead of polystyrene. Don't buy any product made with chlorofluorocarbons, otherwise known as CFCs. Halomethane-filled fire extinguishers are bad as well. The dry chemical ones work better and aren't a detriment to the ozone.
Don't discard toxic or hazardous chemicals into your septic system, down the drain, or onto the ground. It contaminates the groundwater supply. Recycle or discard used motor oil properly. Don't dump it on the ground. A single quart can contaminate thousands of gallons of groundwater. Tragically, 30% of all the oil in the ocean arrives from used oil dumped on the ground.
Before you purchase a new piece of furniture or other wood product, make sure no tropical forest was involved and let them know why. Avoid processed beef. 2/3 of the rainforests in Central America have been cleared to raise a poor grade of cattle. The United States imports 140 million pounds of fresh and frozen beef every year from these countries for the fast food industry.
Think about how the production of your food affects the environment. Animals raised for food in the United States eat enough grain to feed more than 6 times the US population. If Americans reduce their meat consumption by just 10%, the 15 million tons of grain saved annually could feed everyone on this planet that starves to death. The fact of the matter is, we should eat more fruits and vegetables.
Whether you're unfamiliar with what a CFC is or an active environmentalist, it's easy to feel frustrated with what man has done to the earth. But giving up is not the answer, nor is to do nothing at all. It's up to every one of us to get involved and make a difference for the better. After all, would you rather be part of the solution or part of the problem? You have incredible power as an individual. You can weigh the situation, analyze the facts, and then respond accordingly. Do we really want the destruction of the planet's ecosystem to be the legacy of our species? Are we actually incapable of appreciating the plants, vegetation, and wildlife of a given bio-network for their contributions without profiting from the abuse of our resources? We have exploited the Earth's assets for our own comfort and pride, regardless of the price. Now this lack of taking responsibility for our actions has caught up with us, reflected by what we see all around us. If we don't decide to live in a sustainable manner, we as humans will suffer the consequences. Something as small as stopping to think before you purchase a given product, to read the label to ensure that it is recyclable, or has been recycled, or is made from recycled ingredients, to help make certain our quality of life for ourselves and future generations isn't compromised, will make a difference. We, our children, and their children deserve to see the ocean full of marine life and safe to swim, not a home to sewage and trash. This requires us to rethink what we buy and how we dispose of it. Things can change if we just stop and think about what we're doing to the earth, our home, where we live. We can discuss the hot topics, the ozone layer, the ocean, and the rainforest, but ultimately the most endangered element on the planet is ourselves. Indeed, our every action can be likened to a footstep on the earth. It will leave an imprint. What imprint do you want to leave?